We discuss confirmed plans for the summer transfer window. Estevao Willian gets closer to signing for us, and have we found yet again another creative loophole to exploit profit and sustainability rules? Today, my friends, we have so many big stories that's dropped. I can't waste any time with the intro, so all I'm going to ask from you is to sit back, relax, hit that like button, let's go over 2k likes, and let's get straight into today's stories. Now today, we're going to dive into some big financial moves happening at Chelsea Football Club. Don't worry, I'm going to try and keep this news quite simple and easy to understand, but as we know, we have been dealing with some major financial pressures. To help with this though, it seems like we're coming up with yet again another creative solution involving Cobham training grounds, and here's exactly what's being reported. Today's report suggests that we have sold our training grounds to ourselves. You heard that right. They've transferred ownership of Cobham from one part of the club to another, and essentially this is called an intra-group sale. Now, why exactly would we do something like this? Essentially, by making this internal sale, we can show a profit on our paper. This profit helps cover the expected losses of over 200 million for the 23-24 season, but some big questions come from something like this. Number one, has the Premier League even approved of a rule like this? Now, they must approve of that to ensure that everything's good, but to be honest, Premier League clubs had the opportunity to vote against these types of dealings. They refused that. It was only the Championship clubs that voted against that, and we saw many clubs like your Birmingham Cities, for example, looking to sell assets within themselves. And obviously, for number two, is the profit that we're essentially claiming from Cobham even that high to begin with? Because there's estimations that this 100 million to 150 million in profit that we can now account for is maybe a bit too inflated. Anyway though, there's also an issue with the paperwork with this deal, because we originally didn't properly update the land registry laws when we first transferred Cobham back in 2008 when it first got built. This means that the transfer wasn't fully legalized in time, but it does seem like this is something that we are reportedly looking to fix right now by one, correcting the mistake by making sure the land registry now is up to date, and obviously the second part being, updating and recording this supposed internal transfer of Cobham. Now, some of these recent accounts that you're seeing, they are showing evidence potentially that Cobham was listed under Chelsea Football Club Limited from June 30th, 2023. So I guess any sale happening now is definitely from us. However, in the short, it seems like we are using some clever accounting as always. We've seen many examples of us exploiting creative loopholes. I mean, look at our business when it comes to signing players to help amortize the transfers over time. This allowed us to go on an incredible spending spree to completely just, readdress every area within the squads and the club too. And of course, we can't forget the recent news of the club recently buying and transferring the ownership of the club hotels to another part of the holding company within our football club. Still though, this news is essentially asset stripping, and that is a bit risky, It is proof that we are obviously feeling the pressure of falling foul and being in breach of profit and sustainability rules. Obviously, the cons being that it's quick cash that you can literally have straight away, and it improves financial statements, but cons can be what happens in the long term, because if we continue to fail in addressing the team, if we don't find the success on the field, if we aren't able to increase our revenue, capabilities and potential, we're going to have nothing else to sell, and it's all going to bite us in the ass. And I guess the only thing right now is that we have to make sure that the Premier League do approve of this move, because they could accuse us of maybe financially manipulating our books by doing things like this. Obviously, there are some legal risks from this as well too, like paperwork issues, etc, etc. So it's interesting. But today, actually, the club came out to deny that anything like this has actually happened. And I think sometimes if we hear about things like this, essentially it is old news. Equally, maybe this is something we want to keep under the books for now and not raise too much, attention behind what we're looking to do. So personally, I don't know exactly what's going on. I thought it's worth discussing the news at least, but it wouldn't surprise me that we are going to find creative ways around profit and sustainability. Now, of course, we could still sell players, but it does seem like, as reported by David Ornstein, that only matters from the 24-25 season. for right now, I think we're good. So I wonder if this means that we're still going to be forced to have to sell your Gallaghers or Trevor Chalobahs, which would surprise me if they're sold instantly. I think if you wanted to sell Gallagher, essentially I'm giving this guy a new contract to boost his value to sell him for the maximum amount of money. I guess we're set to find out. So my friends, that's all the latest news involving Cobham and FFP loopholes. Share your thoughts and opinions behind this story. And now let's discuss the latest news surrounding Estevao Willian. Now we have some more updates courtesy of Goal.com Brazil, and they state that we are preparing yet again a new proposal for Estevao Willian. And I stress the word proposal, not offer, because once the proposal is agreed upon, then the offer will come in afterwards. Now, in the last reports, it was revealed that we had a fixed fee offer of 30 million euros plus 25 million euros in add-ons, which we're proposing towards Palmeiras. Today's reports from Goal.com Brazil suggest that we are now coming closer with a 65 million offer, which would be a 45 million fixed fee with an additional 20 million in add-ons. Now, as I reported in previous videos on the story, Palmeiras wanted to guarantee at least they were set to earn a bare minimum of 45 million in this deal, hence why they've been very strict about wanting to receive 45 million as a fixed fee. But you know what, when you actually include taxes on top, the final outlay of this deal will be closer to around 75 million euros. So it's going to be big money. And technically, this will be the biggest transfer in Brazilian history, eclipsing Endrick's transfer to Real Madrid by only 4 million euros because he was sold for a combined fee of 71 million. So it does seem like Palmeiras have won, and I think the reason behind why is based on the reports suggesting that Bayern Munich have been coming in to make a late offer to try and sign the player. Now, realistically, we know that we were only looking to force a move right now to beat out competition before more clubs show interest. So I guess it's no surprise that if Bayern Munich now are declaring that they are part of this race, that's probably going to force us to up our offer. I think we could have bought Willian for a lower fee if there was no competition, but clearly that isn't the case. And Bayern have proposed an offer that was essentially higher than our original 55 million offer. Now their fixed fee would have been lower, but the add-ons would have been greater over time. So maybe we're reacting to their interest, hence why we're coming back big and paying closer towards the fee, because we've invested so much time in this deal for months and months and months. You know, we've regularly sent our directors, scouts, held so many talks, scouted him so many times, and we really believe that he could be the next generational winger for the future. So I guess we're putting our money where our mouth is. And you know, speaking about money, Estevao Willian is set to cash in big for this, because the higher the fee is, the more money he will earn, because he owns about 30% of his deals. So I think that's going to be around like 12.5, 13.5 million euros, which is pretty nice if you're not even 18 years old, right? At the moment, Willian is performing pretty well. Of course, he performed quite well against Liverpool in the Copa Libertadores, and he mentioned that at the moment when he was asked about his future, you know, very responsible answer. Listen, I'm only focused on Palmeiras right now, but one thing we do know, and we can't forget this, he has already had that verbal agreement with us. He's agreed personal terms already, and most importantly, he wants to come to live in London. He's enticed by the sea, and he's enticed to sign for this football club. Now, I think one thing that works in our favour, which came out I think a few days ago, is the agent, Andre Curry, who's also the agent of Vitor Roque. Well, he isn't very pleased with how Barcelona have looked after one of his clients, and him, alongside Estevao Willian, got put off for making any move to Barcelona, irrespective of Barca saying that they ended their interest because obviously they're focusing on Lamine Yamal. So it does seem like outside of Barcelona, who was the main club that Estevao Willian was dreaming of, we are the second best club. We're the club that he now sees himself in for the future. And personally, this is really exciting news, and it's kind of like uncharted territory, because you know, we've never been in this position before where we've actually pulled off signing one of the next big talents coming out from Brazil. You know, we came close with like a Neymar, for example. I know Emanalo had that incredible speech that really nearly enticed Neymar, but I think we've finally been able to pull it off. And knowing the fact that Estevao Willian, he wants this move and he wants to play for us, I think that gives me even more confidence for the future. So that's the latest news out the way. Right now, all we are literally waiting for is for Palmeiras now to accept our first offer to get this deal wrapped up. Now we discuss a quick report that came out from Matt Law tonight, where we have more news surrounding this end of season review for not only Pochettino but our sporting directors. Now we've learned that Winsley and Lawrence Stewart's jobs are currently safe for now. They have the backing of the ownership, and obviously we saw that Stewart and Winsley were spotted with Iqbali at the Forest game, and they're set to continue to lead our transfer activity this summer. The main positions we're looking towards: goalkeeper, left back, centre back, and striker. Now I wonder how we conduct that type of business. I feel like if we invested all the money into Victor Osimhen, does this explain the Adebayo links? Are we going to turn towards signing a cheaper alternative in defence? Because realistically, can we afford to have 4 or 5 of the next big centre-backs fighting it out for 2-3 positions? That doesn't make too much sense in my opinion. It'd be interesting to see what left-back we turn to. This is the main position that I have no idea what type of players we're looking at right now. Now, I'd love if it was like an Alphonso Davies. That would be exciting, but I need to be realistic too, right? With his wage demands and the transfer costs, who knows if that could ever even happen. But striker seems like Osimhen is number one. But we have a little hiccup in this Osimhen deal, because ideally, Lukaku wants to make sure before he even thinks about moving to Napoli, that Napoli can secure European football of some kind. Personally, I think that's impossible. I think Lazio have to lose the next 2 games at least, and Napoli have to win their next 2 by a significant margin. So who knows what this is going to do now, but you'd like to think that maybe we buy Osimhen and then Napoli can just buy Lukaku without actually involving him in this deal. Of course, our directors have been under lots of scrutiny and criticism. I've been vocal myself, at times I've wondered if they're really working alongside Pochettino like they should at times. Personally, I feel like maybe we kind of overspent buying some of these young guys that we're not even going to see their benefits from for at least another few years. And we don't even have things like the network club strategy fully in place right now to really take advantage of investing so much money into young players. Imagine if you didn't sign your Ugos or your Washingtons or players like this, you're saving at least another 100+ million. So I feel like I'd feel a lot content if we see a better balance between the demands and needs of the manager and of course the strategy that our directors are enforcing at our football club. I think this is the summer where it has to change, because we've been getting some conflicting reports suggesting that we may be a bit more flexible around our strategy, where currently we're only signing young players. It seems like we could turn towards experience if they come at the right price, but equally some reports suggest that we will still only target young players and keep that strategy. So time is definitely going to tell. Of course, let's hope we end the season strong. Pochettino, it seems like he has backing and support of some of the board members. We know that technically we have qualified for the Conference League, but we're currently looking at getting a Europa League spot, and we have to pray that if United can get a draw in Newcastle, if we win our next 2 games, I think we can do that. Fingers crossed. And I think this is the future that the players want, because they seem very content working under Pochettino. They seem very happy to continue doing the work there. And I think that some of the positive progress we're seeing in 2024, especially in the league, would it be a bit crazy now to sack Poch and redo everything when it feels like the manager market is a bit iffy this summer, right? So my friends, that's the latest news from Matt Law surrounding what's happening with the football club. And to end things with the final report, Enzo Fernandez discusses the latest news on his Operation Success. Now, Enzo has revealed that he has been playing with pain for the past 8 months. Here's exactly what he had to say. As he said, "I spent 8 months playing with pain and injections. I had to take the decision to have surgery. It was the best thing to do. I was hurting the team and I didn't want to expose myself. I'm getting better day by day and I'm really looking forward to the Copa America. I've started training in the field, my recovery is advanced, and I hope to be training with the national team soon at the training centre." Now, as we know, Enzo has been in regular contact with Lionel Scaloni, the Argentina manager, about taking part in his first Copa America, and we've seen that Enzo has already been back doing, indoor weighted training sessions, which is really good now for his recovery, and the fact that he's already up and moving again proves that the surgery was without doubt a massive success. Now, if you guys want context behind the surgery, we know that Enzo had an inertial hernia, and that requires like a keyhole surgery, of course, to get right. And personally, I'm glad by how we quickly resolve Enzo's issues, because again, I think it makes sense for him to come back strong next season, have a great Copa America, and then we have a different Enzo Fernandez to rely upon. I think it's a reminder for us fans that, you know, I can sympathize, we don't always have the context right, but there was a lot of talk, about Enzo maybe being the wrong move to begin with, being lazy, having no legs, etc., etc., and it's quite clear why he looks like that, because, it's very difficult to play with that type of pain when you constantly have to like shield the ball or turn and run or be explosive. Now Enzo, and I give him a lot of credit for this, he obviously was doing his bit for the team, playing through that pain and doing what he could do. But I think, I think he tried to manage that, as he said, with injections and painkillers. I think it worked at a point. Of course, we saw that incredible performance against Aston Villa, but he scored one of the goals of the season. But I think after that period, I think that's when his body just couldn't handle it anymore. I think that's a lot of pressure you're putting on yourselves. I think that's a ton of pressure you're putting on yourself. And it's no surprise why his form would not be sustainable after all this pain he's playing through. It's obvious that he got worse after the Aston Villa game. He couldn't carry himself on the field like he used to. And it explains all the struggles that we've seen. But anyway, it's good that Enzo now is, he seems a lot happier. It seems like he's ready now. And you know what? I have no qualms about his long-term future here. I don't think he's a tactical liability. I think that him and Caicedo can work. We haven't seen the very best of either one, because Caicedo is only now showing his form in 2024. And Enzo, of course, hasn't had the opportunity to show his best football consistently this season. But I think these two can definitely complement each other. And I think that they will be successes for us. So my friends, that's all today's big reports. Share your thoughts and opinions. And on that note, I'm Nini FC. This is BlueLionsTV. I'll see you guys tomorrow with some more videos. Cool.